Vijay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Canto 10, Chapter 52, text number 25 to 30. So we'll read text number 25 to 29 and then we'll decide text 30. Text number 25. Bandhunam ichchatam datum krishnaya bhaginim rupa tato nivaja krishnatvid rukmi chaityam amanyata. O king, because Rukmi envied the Lord, he forbade his family members to give his sister to Krishna, although they wanted to. Instead, Rukmi decided to give Rukmini to Shishupal. Purport: Rukmi abused his position as elder brother and acted with impure motives. He would only suffer for his decision. 26. Tad avetya sitapangi vaidarvi durmanam vrisham vichintyaptam dvijam kanchit krishnaya prahino dhrutam. Dark-eyed Vaidarvi was aware of his plan and it deeply upset her. Analyzing the situation, she quickly sent a trust toward the Brahmana to Krishna. Dvarakam sasamabhyetya pratiharai praveshita apasyat adyam purusham asinam kanchanasane. Upon reaching Dwaraka, the Brahmana was brought inside by the gatekeepers and saw the primeval personality of Godhead sitting on a golden throne. Drishtva brahmanya devastam avaruhya nijasanat upaveshya arshayam chakre yatatmanam divakosva. Seeing the Brahmana, Sri Krishna, Lord of the Brahmanas, came down from his throne and seated him. Then the Lord worshipped him just as he himself is worshipped by the demigods. Tam bhuktavantam vishrantam upagamya satam gati panina bhimarshan pada avyagrastamapruchata. After the Brahmana had eaten and rested, Sri Krishna, the goal of saintly devotees, came forward, and while massaging the Brahmana's feet with his own hands, he patiently questioned him as follows. Kachidvijabara sreshta dharmaste vriddha sammata vartate nati kruchrena santushta manasas sada. Kachidvijabara sreshta dharmaste vriddha sammata vartate nati kruchrena santushta manasas sada. Kachidvijabara sreshta dharmaste vriddha sammata vartate nati kruchrena santushta manasas sada. Kachit whether Dvija of the Brahmanas were first class, Shrestha, or best, Dharma, religious principles, Te, you were Vriddha by senior authorities, Sammata, sanctioned, Vartate, or proceeding, Na, not, Ati, too much, Krichayana, with difficulty, Santushta, fully satisfied, Manasaha, whose mind, Sada, always. Translation: the Supreme Lord said, O best of exalted Brahmanas, are your religious practices sanctioned by senior authorities proceeding without great difficulty? Is your mind always fully satisfied? Purport: here we have translated the word dharma as religious practice. Although this does not fully convey the Sanskrit sense of the word, Krishna did not appear within a secular society. The people in Vedic times could hardly imagine a society that did not understand the need to obey God's law. Thus, to them, the word dharma conveyed a sense of duty in general. Higher principles prescribed duty and so on. It was automatically understood that such duties were within a religious context. But religion in those days was not a specific aspect or department of life, but rather a guiding light for all activities. Irreligious life was considered demoniac, and God's hand was seen in everything. Om Jnanatimirandasya Galanjana Shalakaya Chakshajunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swakayantika Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namni Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarini Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratuse Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Ravaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripri Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sarvadutta Gaurudaya Pushpavanta Chitra Shakra Tamanda. Hare Krishna. So here we are discussing how many out of great concern, out of great anxiety, she had trusted a Brahmana and sent the message to Krishna along with a trustworthy Brahmana. And the Brahmana is so trustworthy. There are several reasons why such messages in general are sent by the kings only with a trustworthy Brahmana. We see in Mahabharata also, before the battle of Mahabharata, it was discussed as to who will go. So, even before Krishna sent, the initial message was sent by a very trustworthy Brahmana, that the Brahmana had gone to convey the message that Yudhishthira had come back, and so they want the kingdom back. To that effect. And then later on, Sanjaya comes back to reply, and then Krishna goes. So here also, here also we see Rukmini is putting all her faith in a Brahmana who has no ulterior motives. Now such important messages are sent by very trustworthy people because of several reasons. First, one of the reasons is because most important reason is because they are trustworthy. They will not misuse the information. That information is worth a lot, and if that information is misused, it can create a huge problems for the kingdoms, for the people, whatever. So that means that information will not be misused. So therefore, such brahmanas are relied upon. That people in general depend upon such brahmanas because they are such trustworthy. One of the reasons they are so trustworthy is because they keep confidentiality. Rukmini's message, imagine if this Brahmana, instead of going to Krishna, if he would have gone to Rukmini, what would have happened? Or if he would have gone to Shishupal or Jarasandha or someone else, what would have happened? It becomes a calamity. So, and it's very easy. Imagine if he goes to Rukmini, he may get a huge treasury. He may get a huge property. So, but because he is completely satisfied in himself and he is completely satisfied in devotional service, therefore he will not do such things, and Rukmini can depend upon him. So so this confidentiality actually comes because they are free from ulterior motives. They do not want to misuse the information which they have. And their senses are also not disturbed. Sometimes some people may not have ulterior motives, but their senses are so disturbed they can't keep any information with themselves. They just, they have a tendency to speak here and there. It's not because they have ulterior motives, that's just because their senses are not controlling. Krishna is one of the questions Krishna is asking this Brahmana is your mind always fully satisfied? Are you happy? I hope your mind and senses are not disturbed unnecessarily. Vishwamitra, when he approaches Dasharatha Maharaj, one of the first questions he asks, the first question which he asks to Vishwamitra is that, my dear Vishwamitra, so you have accepted the profession, you have accepted the duty of attaining the goal of salvation. So is your duty going on properly? Are you putting sufficient endeavors? Are you putting sufficient endeavors and putting sufficient energy in fulfilling your duty, like that he asks? So here Krishna is also asking, my dear Brahmana, is your mind fully satisfied? Are your religious practices sanctioned by senior authorities proceeding without great difficulty? Is your mind always fully satisfied? So in this way, so these Brahmanas their senses are also are in control. Their mind is in control. So that makes them very trustworthy. And another very important, probably one of the most important aspects of trustworthiness is that they do not grudge or judge the people involved negatively. So let us say here Rukmini she's sending a message. Now there is a great chance that the Brahmana can share. She is disturbed by lust. So she's, because she's disturbed by lust, her father is arranging a marriage for her and she's looking out for somebody else, someone else. The Brahmana can think like that. And someone has to put a faith on someone else, who has such a kind of understanding about someone else. It becomes very difficult. Generally, people don't put faith. It's not worthy to put faith, in fact. It's not worthy to those people who grudge or judge. It's not worthy to put faith upon them. So they don't become trustworthy, actually. So, one of this, when the Vanarsena, Hanuman had this ring of Lord Ramachandra, and there's a discussion because they got information from Sampati that the Ravana said they got address from Sampati, Ravana's address from Sampati. So now the discussion is who will go and find out whether Sita is there or not. So that is the discussion. Now there are several messengers there, and several of them, there are several Vanaras there. Either can become a messenger. Angada can become a messenger. Dvivida was there, and Tara, Sushena, Mahinda. All these are commanders, Vanara commanders who were there in that army, apart from Hanuman in the south expedition. So either can become a messenger, and they are actually they are competent also. So, but when Angada was asking who can jump, so they were all saying I can jump 10 yojanas, somebody was saying 20, somebody 30, 40, 50, 60, not more than 60. They were all saying well within 100. So then Jambavan, he admonishes them, he warns them. So it is explained that these Vanaras, probably they can jump 100 yojanas, they can consider jumping 100 yojanas. But they were all very fearful. If I become a messenger, Ravana will catch me by my neck and kill me there only. I will not come back. So they had that fear within their heart. So they were competent, but they were giving an information which is far below their competence, so that they will not be told to go. So like that. So we were discussing about having an ulterior motive and spoiling the whole thing. So Ramachandra, he had a thought whether to join hands with Vali or Sugriva, because he wanted to retrieve Sita, and Vali is also Indra's son. One of the reasons he had come is to help Ramachandra. Sugriva is Surya's son. The reason he had come is also to help Ramachandra. So Ramachandra had an opportunity either to make Sandhi with Vali or with Sugriva. And Vali had a better strategic position because Vali is more powerful. And the whole army is with Vali, actually. Sugriva had no army. Vali had to be removed in order to make Sugriva as a king, and then he got the army. But otherwise, Sugriva had no army. But Ramachandra did not purposefully join hands with Vali because of two reasons. One reason is what he had done was adharma, no doubt. He usurped the position of Sugriva and stole away his wife. And another reason also is that Ramachandra knows that if I join hands with Vali, Vali will calculate. He will go to Ravana's kingdom, probably, and then he will join hands with Ravana, and both of them will come and fight with me. That could happen. But Sugriva, though his senses are very uncontrolled, is loyal. So Sugriva had become a messenger. Sugriva, one of the people among Sugriva's army, had become a messenger. So in that way, Sugriva had become a messenger. So, but Ramachandra had that trust upon him that this person will remain loyal. In fact, once the Vanara army goes to Lanka, Ravan sends some spies. They go and tell Sugriva, we don't have any enmity with you. Why don't you join us? You just leave this place. The problem is between Ram and me. So you leave this place like that. They send a message. Sugriva anyway catches those spies and beats them black and blue. That's a different story. So the point to be made is that Ramachandra did not join hands with Vali with this because he had this understanding. One of the reasons is Vali may go there and he may join hands with Ram, and in this way spoil the whole thing. So a person who is appointed as a messenger, here the Brahmana is appointed as a messenger. So it should not so happen that he has some ulterior motive and he finds fault with the person who or improperly analyzes the situation. These people have a lot of information, so they have to sufficiently properly analyze the situation. Whomsoever mistake is there, they have to understand this person's mistake is this much, not more than that, not less than that. Imagine someone has mistake of 60 units. So these kind of trustworthy people, they should analyze that this person's mistake is 60 units only, not 40 units, not 80 units. So if it is 40 units, that's also a problem. If they analyze it as 40 units, that's also a problem. If they analyze as 80 units, that's also a super problem. So such grudge should not be there. A trustworthy person should not have such a grudge or such a judgmental problem. Otherwise, the trust cannot be put there. So here in this particular translation, Krishna is particularly speaking about how whether this Brahmana is his mind is fully satisfied or not. So that makes him one of the, that is one of the qualifications of a Brahmana. To be satisfied with oneself. Bhamande, when he is offered, when Bali Maharaj says that, why you are asking only for 3-4 steps? I can give you a lot of kingdoms and lot of villages and this and that. So Vamandev anyway, he had come as a trickster. So he does not tell about his trick, but at least at that point he says that the Brahmana has to be satisfied with whatever he gets. He should not unnecessarily desire for something more. So this quality of being satisfied is very important for sadhakas. Being satisfied with a mind being satisfied. There are two ways by which mind can be satisfied. One way is that, or we can put it other way. There are two reasons why a mind can be dissatisfied, unsatisfied. One reason is that if there is no sufficient absorption, spiritual absorption. The reason why we have come to Krishna consciousness is to absorb ourselves in Krishna. So if that is not sufficiently there, then naturally our mind and senses, which were supposed to be engaged in different activities, if we are not able to engage ourselves sufficiently, spiritually absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness, in remembrance of Krishna, direct remembrance of Krishna, and Krishna and his paraphernalia, and direct remembrance of Krishna, then so that will naturally be a cause of dissatisfaction. Then that can have several long-term effects and short-term effects as well. Yeah, we'll see from Bhagavatam, there are several stories which explain how a sadhaka, if he is dissatisfied, what problems can come. One of the stories is the story of Pururava and Urvasi. So Pururava, he got married with Urvasi and he was spending time with her. He spent a lot of time with her. In fact, he has spent so much time that what he is supposed to spend, he has spent more time than that with her. So, but still he is unsatisfied. Why? Because he has overly gratified his senses. He has not sufficiently spiritually absorbed himself. He became so unsatisfied that later on when Urvasi goes away, he does worship of Vishnu. And he actually gets darshan of Vishnu. And what is the benediction he asks when he gets darshan of Vishnu? He says that I want to association of Urvasi. That's the benediction he asks when he gets darshan of Vishnu. So unsatisfied he was. So because the prime reason is because he was not sufficiently spiritually absorbed. Association with Urvasi or association with that was not a problem. Of course, if it would have been in limited manner, it was not a problem. Because many grihasthas, we see Ambarish Maharaj, we see so many grihasthas, Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu Manu's description is given in Bhagavatam. How he was a very Krishna conscious grihastha. Towards the end of in Kapila Muni's section in the third canto, after Swayambhu Manu meets Kardama Muni. After Swayambhu Manu, he meets Kardama Muni. So while he was going back, so it was explained that how he was going to his kingdom, and Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport that how Swayambhu Manu, though he has a kingdom, he has a wife, he has children, he has followers, everything, but still, he's so Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada glorifies him. And at the right moment, when Swayambhu Manu has to retire, and Prabhupada was not ready also. So Swayambhu Manu goes to convince him, Hare Baba, I am supposed to retire, not you. Swayambhu Manu had become 50 years old probably, something like that. He has come to the age of retirement. And Prabhupada was very young. And Prabhupada says, I will retire, you do whatever you want. So Swayambhu Manu comes to convince him, I am supposed to retire, not you. I am supposed to retire and you are supposed to engage yourself. So Swayambhu Manu comes to convince Prabhupada. So basically, so when one is satisfied in Krishna, when one is satisfied, so there are two reasons we were discussing. One is spiritual absorption, and another is one also should be satisfied with one's own engagements and activities. So one is satisfied with Krishna and one is satisfied with one's own activities and engagements. Then at an appropriate time one can retire, like Swayambhu Manu. Otherwise, if one is not satisfied, then one is confused. Then one always keeps endeavor to first of all become satisfied, and then that will make Jai Shishita Gauranga ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So that will disturb the whole phenomenon. That will disturb the whole phenomenon of retirement at an appropriate age. So Pururava we were discussing. So he was not satisfied because his spiritual absorption was not sufficient. So he was not satisfied with whatever association he had with Urvasi. And therefore the question of retirement has not come up. Now the spiritual absorption is very strong, then even if one is not satisfied in one's own duties and activities, still one can go on nicely in Krishna consciousness. Read here the example of Anga, Vena's father. So Anga was wanting to in Sri, Anga was wanting to make Vena as a very good ruler and properly put him on the throne and then retire. That was Anga's plan. But Vena had become a dacoit. Instead of becoming king, he had become a dacoit. So he would play with people, children, and if the children, other children would become victorious, then he would go and kill them. So it was so cruel. So Anga became very disturbed. What to do with such a person? So he couldn't reform him. So then all of a sudden one day, he thought that my time has come. Now let them do whatever they want. My time has come. He thought like that and he left without telling anyone. So in this way, so he became disgusted basically. But such examples are very less. Such examples are less. And becoming disgusted and giving up, it's not such examples are less. Because that could be a manifestation of escapist mentality. Krishna strongly condemns it in Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, of being an escapist. So however, Prabhupada writes in 2nd canto, in 1 chapter, 2nd canto, wherein he says that unless and until one is satisfied, one cannot renounce. Very clearly Prabhupada writes in one purport. So we see all the examples. Uttanpada Maharaj, he also retired. Dhruva Maharaj, he also retired. Prahalad later on, he also retired. Swayambhu Manu. Kardama Muni, he gave birth to Kapila Muni and all the daughters, and he satisfied Devahuti, he satisfied himself. He had a desire which he expresses to Lord Vishnu. He religiously satisfied, got religiously satisfied, and then he retired. So like that, this is a general trend. There could be exceptions, but this is the general trend. So, so basically we were discussing about Pururava and Urvasi. So Pururava, because he was dissatisfied, therefore he wanted to keep continuing to fetch that satisfaction. And therefore, even when Vishnu had appeared, he said that, please give me a benediction by which I can get to Urvasi. And he goes to Urvasi's planet and he tries to enjoy them. Then after he got the realization that this is not worthy, then he becomes renounced. And then the description comes about 𝐂𝐻𝐈𝐍, where Pururava explains about his renunciation and explains about his realizations. Yeah. So we see such examples wherein a person who is unsatisfied, how he wants to keep endeavoring to get that satisfaction. So therefore, it is important that a devotee has to spiritually absorb oneself, sadhaka has to spiritually absorb oneself, and also keep oneself satisfied in one's own activities and duties, both. To be able to practice Krishna consciously and go on for a longer duration and appropriately exhibit engagement and also appropriately exhibit renunciation at an appropriate time. A person who is unsatisfied, he's like a pendulum, bhoktyag. We hear about bhoktyag. So sometimes he enjoys a lot, sometimes he renounces a lot because he is confused. So when Krishna Chakravarti Thakur speaks about it in Madhura Kalamini, that one of the stages of anishtita bhajana kriya is I think that is Khagana Tarala stage, wherein the sadhaka, one time he thinks that, oh, Krishna consciousness is so nice, so therefore I will go to Vrindavan, give up everything, and my parents, my mother, my wife, my children, everything is Maya, so I will go to Vrindavan. Today only I will go to Vrindavan and give up and all this business and work, profession, this is all so much money, so much building, land, this, that, all this is Maya, they are all a cause of disturbance. So this is one thought. After 1 hour he has a thought. After 1 hour he has another thought. All these are Krishna given people. My wife, my children, they have been sent by Krishna. My parents have been sent by Krishna. My business has been sent by Krishna. So this is all Krishna's mercy. And now I have, now I am a lakpati, but I should, now I am, what is a millionaire. But because it is Krishna's end, therefore I should become billionaire. Because everything is Krishna's energy, right? So therefore, money is also Krishna's energy, therefore I should become billionaire. And in this way, use all the billions of rupees which I get in Krishna's service. And in this way, Krishna is everything, whole world, I'll make it Krishna conscious. So this is the thought after 1 hour. Again, after 1 hour, again he will think, everything is Maya, better go to Vrindavan and give up everything. And so like that. So this is the thought of this is pendulum. Bhoktya. So this is the condition of unsatisfied sadhaka. So at an inappropriate moment he expresses renunciation, or at an inappropriate moment he expresses engagement, too much engagement. So, but intelligent sadhaka is one who understands exactly in right proportions how to engage in Krishna's service. Rupa Goswami writes about it in first verse number 1 and 2. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives very nice commentary. So, what is the difference between verse 1 and verse 2? Verse 1 is about tolerating the vegas. Vacha vegam, manasa, krodha, vegam. So all these vegas have to be tolerated. What is verse 2? Verse 2, it speaks about atyahara. Ahar is okay. Atyahar is a problem. Endeavor is fine. Over endeavor is a problem. Atyahara prayas prajalpa. Speaking is not a problem. Speaking about mundane efforts is a problem. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. Following rules and regulations is very good. Over following rules and regulations is a problem. Janasanga. Associating with worldly minded persons for the sake of activity, for the sake of regular activities is not a problem. But confidentially associating with them is a problem. Laulyam. Over accumulation is a problem. Accumulation is not a problem. So that is the difference between first verse and second verse. First verse is about tolerating the vegas, saying no. This is not pleasing to Krishna, therefore I have to say no to it. This is not pleasing to Krishna, therefore I have to say no to it. And second verse is about appropriately engaging it in Krishna service. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there are two things which are required. What are the two things? One is to accept whatever is needed. How much ever is needed, that has to be accepted. And the second thing, to accept whatever we accept which is needed has to be seen as Krishna's grace. Like we eat prasad, that is Krishna's prasad, right? As long as we don't overeat. Similarly, husband engages with wife, a wife engages with husband, whatever. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, So sex life according to religious principles is, I am sex life according to religious principles. So over-engaging is a problem. But engaging is not a problem. Endeavoring, prayas, over-endeavoring is a problem. But endeavoring for accumulating whatever is needed for one's own living is not a problem. And that has to be, in fact, that Krishna, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that has to be seen as Krishna's mercy rather. That has to be seen. Whatever food we have to accept, it is Krishna sent, it is Krishna prasad. Whatever wealth we have, which is being used in Krishna's service, so that is seen as Krishna prasad. So whatever resources we have, that is seen as Krishna prasad, provided that is not entangling us. Otherwise, it becomes a cause of entanglement. So, like this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So, yeah. So this is the concept of Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means to engage everything in Krishna's service. It also means to whatever is needed for our own sustenance. So that is accepted, and that is accepted as Krishna's mercy. That is also Yukta Vairagya. So how do we handle matter? We handle matter, the best way to handle matter. Rupa Goswami tells about Nirbandha, Krishna Sambandha, Yukta Vairagya. The best way to handle matter is to engage it in Krishna's service. Now that requires a qualification also. If one is not qualified, then one has to separate, one has to distance oneself from matter. Therefore, first verse comes. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. So if one is not qualified, then one has to distance oneself from matter. And how do we know whether we are qualified to engage matter in Krishna's service or not? We need Krishna's blessings. We need devotees' blessings. If we have Krishna's blessings and devotees' blessings, then that is the qualification. Brahmaji, he prays to Lord Vishnu for creative energy. So when he prays, then Vishnu appears and Vishnu gives his blessings. He tells, my dear Brahma, don't worry, don't get entangled. Then he tells that, my dear Brahma, you will be able to see me in every living entity, and you will see all living entities in me. This way you will not get entangled. So like that he gives Lord Vishnu, gives blessings to Lord Brahma. And then after that, Brahmaji engages matter in Krishna's service. So unless and until such blessings are there, one is not qualified to engage matter in Krishna's service. So, and intelligence is very corrupt also. Sometimes intelligence cheats us, just like Bharat Maharaj. He was so qualified that he engaged the whole world in Krishna's service. But when he went to the forest, see, there are different duties for a grihastha and different duties for a renunciate, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself speaks in Bhakti Alok. So a person who was so qualified to engage the whole world in Krishna's service, he goes to the forest, he gets entangled with a deer. Because it was misplaced intelligence, misplaced compassion, basically. He wanted to offer protection to a deer, but he got entangled with it. So the intelligence, so therefore Brahmaji prays for appropriate intelligence from Vishnu as to how to engage matter in Krishna's service. Yeah, we were discussing about being satisfied. So to be satisfied, we should be able to properly engage ourselves with Krishna, properly engage ourselves two things we were saying, right? Is one spiritual absorption and another is engaging oneself with matter. Ishopanishad Vidyanscha Avidyanscha. So Baldev Vidyabhushan, one of the commentators, Prabhu is Baldev Vidyabhushan. He says that Vidya is to know about spirit. Avidya means to know about Varnashram. That's what he says. To know about matter. So and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says about Yukta Vairagya again. About Avidya, he says about Yukta Vairagya. How to engage matter in Krishna's service. So, yeah. So to be satisfied, we need to be spiritually aware, and we also need to know how to engage matter in Krishna's service. How much and with what disposition. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about it in second verse of Nectar of Instruction. Okay, thank you very much. If we have some 4-5 minutes remaining, if someone has some questions, we'll take it. Otherwise, we'll end it here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.